Welcome to the Playco HR podcast. I'm Rob Wilson. With me is my brother and partner, Scott.
Hello.
And Jason Eisen, our vice president of HR.
Hi, everyone.
Jackson working the board. So thanks for taking all the white noise and editing our mistakes out. So, Jason, recent survey, half of U.S. companies are bracing for turnover to be higher than it was last year. So 2026, they're saying turnover will be higher. Actually, 50% of the companies surveyed.
Yeah. And the larger the company, the more likely, or the higher the chance that they are expecting higher turnover. The smaller companies are expecting some, but not as much as the larger companies. But I think every employer, I shouldn't say every, 50% is the average. 50% of the employers are expecting higher turnover in 26 as compared to 25.
Right. And so it's not that 50% are say they're going to lose 50% of their employees, that they just are making the assumption that they're going to have higher turnover than they did the year before. What that number is, no one really has a guess, right?
Yeah, and it's been low. So it's not like we're in COVID.
I think that's the reason why, because it's been so calm for the last year. They're like, well, something's going to happen.
Yeah, good question. Yeah.
Your turnover expectations the previous 2 years were 39%, and the year before 33%. So now they're saying 50%. They're looking at the cost of the turnover. Who knows what that turnover is going to be, because inflation just clicked up to 4% today.
Right.
And unemployment, the new jobs number for the month of May was definitely beat expectations.
Yeah, they're good.
There were 172,000. People were thinking it was going to be 100.
Right.
So the economy from a job standpoint is doing well. But like we spoke on a previous HR chat, the last couple of years, you had X number of people say, I'm going to look for a new job. But that ended up not happening because of either benefits or payroll, a variety of reasons.
Or lack of job openings.
Right.
Yeah.
So when they look at the cost of turnover, they estimate the average cost of turnover to be $45,000 per position.
So that's over a 20% increase over 2025. So we've jumped 20+% at the average. It was around 36,000 in 2025. Now up to 45,000 plus. So it is a costly, and this is average, like we were talking about off air, lower level, entry level jobs. If it's a part-time waiter, waitress, that's going to be less cost of a turnover compared to executives or managers. But that 45,000 is an average across all industries, all levels of jobs, and that's pretty high. That's recruiting for a new job, the new person, training the new person, the time spent on it. So it's costly if you have high turnover, it costs you a lot of money.
And where the numbers kind of get a little skewed, the 45 obviously is you're looking at all paying jobs like you mentioned.
Across the board.
If you have a $15 an hour position, it's not going to cost you 45 to change that. But when you look at that 50%, as you dig deeper into the numbers, when you look at large companies put that expected turnover, 64% of them expect turnover with people with 500 employees or more. The number's substantially lower for smaller companies.
Yeah, so we might see a little bit more of a stable work environment, workforce for the smaller employers, but larger ones are expecting higher turnover.
And some of the reasons why they're talking about where that comes from is greater workplace demand. So you're trying to, the old rule, you're trying to do more with less.
Right.
So they're trying to work their teams harder with less people. Another third say it's competitive job market. People are going to look at other options, other wages. And you see that in Chicago where the minimum wage may be, there's towns where you're in Cook County on one side, DuPage on the other.
Right.
Other side of the street.
Yeah.
Other side of the street.
Right across the street. And we've seen that with companies where you may be hiring out here. You've got, we're in the western suburbs and you're going to pay X number of dollars. And, the person's coming from Chicago, they can walk across the street or down the block in Chicago, get a job at Amazon warehouse for more money.
Right. For minimum wage in Chicago. Yeah.
Better, not just better pay as well, but better benefits as well.
Yeah, that total compensation package of,
because for years, for the longest time, it was wages was your biggest number. But now benefits, your health insurance, it's a big factor of staying or leaving.
that just for probably decades now, it's outpacing inflation by a significant. The medical plan premiums are going up a lot higher than inflation every year. I don't know where it's going to end up, but it's higher than people's annual pay increases. So I don't know where we're going to be in 10, 20 years.
Yeah, I love the Kaiser Family Foundation. They throw out numbers. This past year, it was health insurance is going up, 9%, 10%. In Chicago, the average increase was over 17.
Wow.
And so what we've seen already looking into 27, Blue Cross is talking about 14 plus.
Yep, more of the same.
Wow.
Yeah. So what are some solutions, Jason, that we can look at?
So when we talk about retention strategies or strategies to lower turnover, I think you always can look at, like we talked about, total compensation. What is your pay? What's your benefits look like? People always leave for managers and culture, but I think what we're going to focus on today is training. So it's often an underutilized strategy to improve retention and turnover, especially on roles that have historically high turnover.
Right. So the first thing to look at, where is your turnover happening? And if you have some roles that are high turnover, pretty consistently replacing somebody, that's your first spot to look at for training, right?
Yeah, right. And unfortunately, some of the companies have been in this like vicious cycle, like a death spiral. Like, well, we're not going to do training because there's high turnover. Why should we spend money on paying people pulling off the line and paying them their hourly wage, or hiring a trainer and that person's time for training someone who's just going to leave? We have high turnover. We lose people every 3 months there. Why would we spend money on training? But if you spend money on the training, you're probably going to be more likely to have them stay longer and improve the tenure. So I think that's a great observation, is we focus the training starting on the high turnover roles within our organization. And there's a lot of benefits, and we'll get to this in a second, not just the tenure, but there's a lot of kind of side advantages to improving training within your organization.
Right. You don't necessarily do the same old, what you've been doing. Obviously, whatever you've been doing, if you have high turnover, it's not working.
And there's a recent stat that 67% of workers are placing a priority over workplace skill set improvements this year. So if, 2/3 of employees are saying, one of my goals this year, I want to improve my knowledge, I want to improve my skill set within my workforce. But that same set of employees believe that only 48% of their employers are providing them the training to improve their skill set.
And you're not talking about improving to increase to a different job. You're talking about
Great
their
point.
actual job.
Yeah. This is one of our recommendations. Start at improving the knowledge of the employee's existing role or their set of responsibilities. We can always worry about future proofing or upskilling later, but let's get good training programs for the employees and their existing roles and responsibilities.
And one of the things is invest. They say invest early, not later. One of the things that we've been talking about for years with our clients is, what does your onboarding look like? What is that first 30, 60, 90? What's your training? What are the goals? How is a new person adapting into the team? Now, the surveys are showing that that's where you see a lot of attrition, is that first 30, 60, 90 days. So train them early.
Yeah, maybe those same milestones at 30, 60, 90 might be a good time to do those trainings. And maybe what we recommend is do short job-related trainings that have immediate results. So this could be a 15-minute training on day 30, maybe a 30-minute training on day 60, something job-related, actionable, that employees can immediately see the improvement in their skills and responsibilities, and it will pay immediate dividends. There's not a kind of a long-term runway to see this ROI.
And I would think most employers strive for efficiencies. Well, you should look at the training the same way. How efficient can you make that training?
Yeah, right. And it not only improves the immediate results, but then gives them confidence and more likely to improve their turnover and their likelihood to stay longer within the organization. One of the things that we always point to first is prioritizing this job-related training as a kind of a first step, but letting the employees know, hey, we're going to be looking at job career advancement as secondary. We're going to first focus on job-related. This is not meant to kind of prepare you for a supervisor manager position or an executive level position, wherever the advancement might be. We're focusing first on the 30, 60, 90 of job-related training. We'll kind of set phase 2, we'll worry about career advancement.
Yeah, look at the efficiency of the role as you're going through the onboarding. What coaching are you doing? Early skill development from that standpoint. how can you do a job more efficiency? So especially if you're doing a redundant job and you're doing the same thing over and over and over, you're whether you're packing a box or whatever the issue is, and you're doing that for 8 hours a day, is there a better way to do it? And is there a better way to train someone to do it more effectively or efficiently? Or, there's so many different things to look at in what that position, whatever the position is, entails.
And we're a big proponent of employee engagement surveys and also kind of follow-up questionnaires. So ask some of these new hires or ask your existing employees, where do you feel like, what can we do a better job on this task? You might get some great unknown, kind of unexpected feedback that you can use in some of these future training sessions with your employees. And make it available to your frontline workers. So I know it's difficult to pull someone off especially hourly workers, to pull someone off like the manufacturing line or the warehouse or someone in a restaurant or hospitality. But I think it's good to focus on these frontline workers because it will pay dividends in the long run to not just worry about the salaried employees, but these hourly employees and frontline workers. And if you do, one of the great things is it's going to pay dividends if you have a nice training program for all levels, all the frontline workers. Obviously, it's going to probably improve productivity and quality, but something I didn't really think of until some of this research is safety. So if you provide good training, you're going to have a lower workers' comp mod. You're going to have lower number of worker injuries and illnesses if you're providing regular, repeated, good training to even your high turnover positions.
And when you look at workers' comp claims, there's so many studies that show that it's not just the cost of the injury, but it's the disruption to the business and disruption to your workflow. If someone gets injured on an assembly line, that person comes out, the loss of productivity is huge.
Yeah.
And then you always worry about the contagious injuries where, so-and-so got hurt. I'm going to get hurt. And we've seen that all too many times at, larger companies.
Actually, you could ring the bell for Shirley. She just had another person indicted on workers' comp fraud.
Yeah.
In the fine state of Ohio. Or I'm sorry, Colorado.
Great job, Shirley.
Yeah, we always root for the people, like anybody who's truly injured, truly has a problem. We try and get them back to work, give them the right help. But if someone's going through fraud and dishonest, we want to take care of them. Go after them. That's better.
The person ended up, they lied on recorded statements. They lied to adjusters. They lied to nurses and got caught.
Wow.
And so every state's different. In Illinois, it's so hard you can put together a great package and tie a red bow on it. And for people, it's a white collar crime. They don't even arrest people for stealing $1,000 of merchandise at a Walgreens, let alone the workers' comp fraud. Yeah. But Colorado, the prosecutors, they indicted the person on fraud, workers' comp fraud.
Great.
So, yeah. But back to training.
Yeah, and we have a nice PDF summary of kind of giving you tips and tricks on how to set up this training program, some of the advantages, some of the things to consider. So yeah, feel free to write us, hr@employco.com. That comes to me. I'm happy to respond and provide you this PDF of the HR Insights article on how to work through training to improve your turnover.
Will this also be in your HR newsletter?
Yes. Yep. Our June newsletter.
If you don't receive our monthly newsletter, Jason does one just specifically for HR. It's typically a half a dozen different topics. You and Jackson, not only does Jackson do the podcast, but he handles the newsletter with you. So that's usually out around the 15th of the month.
Right.
Always a great read.
Yeah. So if you don't receive that and would like to receive it, send a note to Jason at hr@employco.com. We're in all 50 states and Puerto Rico, so typically you include some things on different legislative issues across a variety of states, especially if it's some compliance issue.
Yeah, we try and pick out some of the more important ones. Everyone gets newsletters, and we try and pick out the most important. Well, we think our audience, usually the smaller, mid-sized employers, even large employers, but what HR issues are front of mind and most important for everyone.
It's funny, we were just talking with our sales team, and a lot of times when they talk to small prospects, small meaning, under 20 employees, and you bring up the issue of HR, a very common response is, I don't have HR issues. But when you start talking about the specific HR issues, a lot of owners of businesses think of it more operational.
Yeah.
HR is for big companies, but really whether it's compliance or unemployment or a variety of HR things that we deal with every day. A lot of business owners look at that more operational and not HR.
Yeah. And then there's the whole improving culture, improving your turnover, workforce planning. We can help on a lot of, not only just the compliance, but like planning and strategy also.
Actually, I sat in Jason's team yesterday. Every month you do an HR team meeting, and a different person on Jason's team does a presentation to the entire department. So Griffin and I always like to sit in those, and this was on employee stay interviews. Mm-hmm. Instead of exit interviews, it's a stay interview. So it's not a one-on-one interview, but it's not on a performance reviews.
It's trying to be proactive to help turnover. So this is another tool in your belt.
Why are you here?
Yeah, another tool in the belt to help. It's meant to be one-on-one meetings with like a manager and their direct reports to how's everything going? How's your workload? Is there anything frustrating? Is there anything I could be doing as a manager better to help improve your time at work? Kind of that.
Do you need more training?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the workflow look like? So the more that we can, our team can help our clients do that. It's just the stay interview is just one more effective way of reducing your turnover.
Good point.
But if you want any information on that, feel free as well to reach out to Jason. He can
we have another article on stay interviews. Yep.
Share some information. So
lots good literature.
And also we have articles, but then we also like helping one-on-one conversations and going to our clients' locations and helping them through live conversations in addition to the articles.
Yeah, whether it's terminations, performance reviews, performance management, surveys, anything HR.
We're here to help.
Feel free to reach out with any questions. If you have comments or other ideas that you'd like us to talk about, send them Jason's way, and we'd love to have your feedback. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.